Chapter 9. The Stone House. 10 years ago, the big stone house was bought from a local businessman. He hadn't planned on selling, but when a tall woman with sunglasses appeared at his door offering him a sizable check, more than double what his property was worth, it took him about 10 seconds to agree. The woman offered a generous bonus if he would leave the furniture and be out in 48 hours. He was gone in 36. Since then, neighbors would occasionally see an expensive car or a large, dark SUV with tinted windows wheel into the driveway and then disappear into the attached carriage house. But they never saw anybody come or go through the front door. The smooth concrete sidewalk along the edge of the driveway had small stones embedded in it that absorbed light during the day and glowed blue-green at night, giving the whole property an other earthly feel. The girls were fascinated by this secrecy and often made up stories about who lived there, maybe a movie star or a duke or perhaps a baroness who held fancy parties with servants who wore white curly wigs and waistcoats and tails. Inside the house was nothing like they imagined. The tall woman now stood before a panting Abbie and Sarah inside the grand entrance. Another person was keeping watch through the thick glass of the front door. "Good job, Sarah," Abbie said, bent over with her hands on her knees, trying to catch her breath. Her little sister managed a small smile. As Abbie's eyes adjusted to the dark interior, she looked up at the tall woman's face, but she wasn't sure her eyes were working properly. "Auntie Zaina?" she said. The woman, whose real name was just Zaina, smiled at being called Auntie. She knew Kate better than these two, but she had been around their family often enough for the girls to recognize her. You live here?" Abbie asked. "Yes," Zaina responded. She could see that it was a lot for the girls to take in and looked at them with warm concern in her eyes. "You are okay now. I will explain everything once you have had a chance to catch your breath. What you need to know now is that you are safe." Zaina watched the girls as they looked around, their gaze attracted to the wall of large monitors in the room off the main foyer. "You can go in if you like." Zaina knew that time was not on their side, but she knew, too, that she needed the girls to cooperate. Abbie and Sarah cautiously stepped into the large room with all the screens. Desks filled the floor space, and large computer monitors covered one whole wall. Each screen showed a different place, a town square, a park, a field. The girls didn't recognize most of the places. Some of them looked like they could be in other countries, but then a familiar image caught Abbie's eye. "What the?" she said under her breath. There on the main screen, in the center of the wall, was a picture of their house. Zaina could see the girls were going to panic and quickly addressed them. "I cannot explain everything to you now, as we need to get ready to go." "Go?" the girls chirped together, turning back to Zaina. "Yes, but I will tell you what you need to know for now." She motioned to two large office chairs. "Please sit down. We do not have much time." Zaina glanced at the center screen as she finished her sentence. The girls sat. Sarah's legs didn't reach much farther than the edge of the seat. Even Abbie looked small and vulnerable in the oversized chair. Looking at both of the girls in turn, Zaina took in a breath and let it out and started to speak. "I know that this will be hard to take in. Whether you understand it or not, the important thing is that you believe me. Okay? Can you do that?" The girls nodded. "Do you understand what evolution means?" Abbie nodded, but Sarah stared. Zaina began. "A long, long time ago, when humans were evolving into what they are today, another species was also evolving, called the Nomies. Now, think of it as two trains, side by side, if you will, each one on its own evolutionary track, one below ground and one above." She had their attention. "Humans evolved to live above ground, learning how to hunt, fish, make fire, grow gardens, raise cattle, create buildings, and eventually cities." Zaina leaned a little closer, fixing the gaze of the young girls in front of her, not sure how much they were really understanding. The other species, the Nomies, learned to live in large caves underground. They had their own set of abilities that were suited to living below the surface. They learned how to grow plants and vegetables that did well in dark places. They used heat taken from the center of the earth, and they discovered how over the years to use bioluminescent plants, plants that glow in the dark, to create a living light source for their homes and cities. The girls stared at her, leaning forward, so she pressed on. Now, humans relied on things like oil and gas to power their machines, but the Nomies discovered the power of magnetic fields. In short, the Nomies' technology became far more advanced than what humans have developed on the surface. Zaina paused for a moment. The girls didn't blink, but she could see the wheels in their heads spinning, trying to keep up. Now, over time, some Nomies came to believe that there was another species who lived above them on the surface. But most Nomies thought that this was impossible. They saw the earth as their home, and other beings simply did not live on its roof. The girls smiled at this. Over the centuries, however, the Nomie scientists were finally able to reach the surface. Like in an elevator? Abbie asked. Not exactly, Zaina responded. They used a tunnel. It took a long time to make it. At least, it took a long time back then. When those Nomies reached the surface, they were amazed. They came back to report that the surface was as beautiful as it was different from their world. The Nomie explorers saw that the human civilization had developed much slower than theirs, especially when it came to science. Humans were still riding horses or even walking to get from place to place, while the Nomies beneath the surface were using vehicles powered by fuel made from plants. Many years ago, the Nomie leaders wanted to share what they knew, to teach their surface cousins how to live better. So a few were selected to go to the surface and help teach the humans. But it didn't work as planned. Why not? Both girls asked together. Well, in the beginning, the surface people believed the Nomies were gods. You mean like Spider-Man? Sarah asked. Not quite, Zaina winked at Abbie. No. The humans considered Nomies to be powerful beings because they knew how to do things the humans thought was magic. Really, it was just a better understanding of science, but it scared them. It did? The girls were now fully engaged in the story. Yes, and before too long, their fear turned to anger, and the people gathered into mobs and attacked the Nomies. Some were even killed. Killed? Sarah reached out for Abbie's hand, not taking her eyes off Zaina. Yes. Zaina paused for a moment before continuing. So the rest of the Nomies went back underground through their hidden tunnels, let things settle before coming to the surface again. Well, then what happened? Abbie asked, impatient to know more. Over the next few hundred years, Zaina responded, and in different places around the globe, the Nomies tried again to share their knowledge, but with little success. What? Why? Did people like riding horses that much? Sarah wanted to know. Zaina shook her head. It's not that simple. Then Abbie spoke. Are they still trying? Yes, but things have changed. The things that Nomies need to live underground, like water and soil, are slowly being ruined by what is happening on the surface. Over the last few decades, the damage that humans have done to their environment, things like creating explosions deep in the earth to release gas for their machines, is slowly poisoning the water and soil below ground. If it continues, Nomies will eventually be unable to grow any food or have fresh water to drink. Can't they just tell people what's going on? Abbie interrupted. They can come to my school and tell my class. My teacher is really concerned about the environment, and if she knew it was making problems for the Nomies, then... Zaina held up her hand, and Abbie stopped talking. Thank you, Zaina smiled, for that kind offer. But like many things, the problem is bigger than just one classroom. You see, now there are two groups of Nomies which had begun to form. She put her left hand out. There are those who want to reach out to the leaders on the surface, convince them of the need to change, and then show them how to do it so we can all exist. The other group, she put out her right hand, believes that the only way to save the Nomie civilization is to take over the surface and control all of it. She clenched her hand into a fist. Take over the surface? You mean like the whole world? Abbie asked, struggling to believe what she was hearing. Yes. Yes, the whole world and everyone in it. And if they do, it will not be good for you, me, or anyone else. Oh, was all Abbie could manage. She thought for a moment before asking. And how do you know all of this? Zaina paused to consider her options. Time wasn't on their side. They would need to leave soon. She glanced around the room to those watching the monitors and took in a breath. Because I am one. With that, she reached behind her head and she pulled her hands forward. Her hair and face slipped off, revealing smooth blue skin and dark blue hair that resembled soft, molded plastic. Ah! Abbie and Sarah screamed, almost tripping over backwards in their chairs. Scrambling to their feet, Abbie pushed Sarah behind her, looking for some way out. Get back! Abbie shouted. I'm warning you! I've been to Kate's taekwondo class. Zaina smiled. It's okay. You're okay. I'm not here to hurt you. She pulled her disguise back into place. I am here to protect you. And you see, this is why it's been so difficult to help surface dwellers. Because everyone reacts just as you did when you see something that you do not understand. Abbie kept Sarah behind her, her breathing still heavy, trying to decide whether she believed what Zaina was saying. Look, Zaina continued, her face now in place. The Nomies who chased you are part of the group that wants to take over. They have been planning this for a long time, and we believe they are going to attempt to take over very soon, especially given what happened at your house. Our house? You know what happened to our house? Abbie asked. Zaina pressed on. Yes, I do, but... She stopped mid-sentence. But what? Sarah asked. Zaina's eyes narrowed. She noticed a movement on the middle monitor, the one that showed the girl's house. She drew in a short breath. The girls turned to see what Zaina was seeing. The hole in the girl's backyard was getting smaller. It was closing. Katie! The girls cried out. Zaina's face blanched. I'm sorry, she said firmly. There's no time for further explanations. It's time to go. Now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that chapter. There are plenty more to go, so make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming up next. There's a lot more to come. And if you are enjoying it, by all means, feel free to share this with your family and friends so that you can watch and listen together. I'm Eric Jingles, the author of The Nomies and the Surface Protocol. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.